Countach Rally Part 2, and this is probably the most emotional, I would say, part of the rally and part of our video series, because there was a lot of stress and a lot of emotions and a lot of passion into the days before the rally and the actual first day of the rally itself. And I think it all started Friday. As I was packing, I had not yet flown to San Francisco, and I look at my wife and I'm like, what did I do? Obviously a dream come true to be organizing this, but we had never done anything like this. And imagine we were essentially managing 29 cars, 12 of the cars coming from Miami. These are temperamental cars, and there were so many moving pieces. Now, we had the most incredible team, Trevor and his team from Luxury Rally Club, who are organizing the details in California and with the event and dinner, the Laguna Seca Raceway, etc. But we were essentially managing all the cars and the clients. And I don't think it occurred to me how many moving pieces that were happening. And I was replaying all these details in my head and going over everything. You know, we had to get parts and tools and all these things to Half Moon Bay. We had to do all this in preparation. And wow, I was freaking out. I'm not gonna lie. So ended up that weekend was very, very tough, replaying all the details in my head. And Monday morning, I fly out to San Francisco. Make the trip into Half Moon Bay, and that day for me was going to be a relaxing day. Try to get sort of my feelers out, understand the local area, and start to prepare for shipments that were coming in of parts and tools and all these different things, because we were essentially setting up a Curated in west coast of the U.S. And somehow, I guess it was great luck, but also at the time very stressful. All of the cars started to arrive early. So our 2 6-car haulers, 12 cars total, arrived a day early. And I was the only person on the ground at the Half Moon Bay at that point. And listen, I felt this huge responsibility that either myself or someone from my team would personally unload the cars. We had a great client, Brian, his beautiful silver low body was joining us from Kansas City. We had Jaime, whose Diablo SVR joined us from Spain. We had JC, whose white Countach joined us from Mexico. So we have all these cars from around the world, and they're passionate owners who not only sent their cars to celebrate the Countach, but sent their cars to support me. And the stress level just went completely through the roof. I started unloading the cars. Luckily, slowly as the day went on, I had a few of the Curated team members started to join us. There were flight delays, there were traffic delays, and one at a time, pulling the Countachs off, pulling the myriad of cars off, and making sure that they were perfect once they arrived, and started to stage all the cars. Basically, that next day, owners started to arrive. They're arriving from around the country, around the world, and they're going to grab their jackets. And as you can see, I'm actually wearing one of the Countach Rally jackets, which will be available. I promise you, we will be selling these probably coming up in the next week or so. By September 9th, I think we said is the date. So these will be available with some other really great stuff. But they're arriving, they're grabbing their swag, they're, all these things, and we start staging all the cars. And I don't think it really hit me, the presence of the event, until we started to stage the cars. And you had Tyler Hoover join us with a good friend of his in his beautiful Bianco Perlato 25th anniversary. You've had a beautiful red downdraft, European spec 25th anniversary join us with UK plates. And you've got this Rame Colorado LP400S low body, early car. It was actually one of the original Monaco pace cars, in addition to the white Monaco pace car that joined us, and it's this beautiful copper color. So you see all these cars start to line up, and it was so overwhelming. What I started to realize that day, as the owners came in, and as we had a cocktail event that evening and we had a dinner that evening, and what I quickly realized as the owners arrived, what this event was not about Countachs. It was not about guys getting together to go racing their cars around Monterey. This event was about the people and their passion. And I think the best way to describe that is basically what happened the next morning and what happened the next 2 days. So we wake up. It's now Wednesday early morning. Our techs have arrived. Tools have not arrived yet, but some parts have arrived, and they're finishing all the last-minute details on the cars. Now, at this point, Mr. Valentino Balboni, the legendary test driver, has arrived. So guys are super excited. He's going around. He's signing people's cars. And that was just such an exciting moment. He's signing people's jackets, you know, and everybody wants to talk to Valentino. He's one of the most humble guys. He is Mr. Countach. This is a guy that drove every single Countach almost during test drives in period. And there's no one that spent more time in the seat of a Countach, and there's no one living today that's probably more important to the Countach itself than Mr. Balboni. And as you guys know, I've known him for my entire life. My dad's known him forever, and he's a dear family friend, and really it meant so much to us that he could join us and lead the rally. At the same time, we have a few cars that are giving issues. Now, at this point, I think we had about 25, 26 cars ready to leave that morning into Monterey. And now a very dear friend, Ken, he's been a Countach lover and an owner for a very long time. I remember him from forum sites for about 10 years. He originally was not going to join us, and I thought that of all Countach owners, he had to join us because he was such a passionate guy for so many years. He bought this car years ago, beautiful black on tan, European Countach downdraft that was brought here many years ago. And imagine he ships the car from Florida. It was a little bit last minute for him. He joined, I think, like a month out before the rally started. And his car wouldn't start. And all I could say to him at that moment was, listen, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure we get your car running. I promise you, I'm going to get your car running for the rally. And I don't know if he understood my commitment at that moment, but I basically told my guys, listen, we believe the spark plugs are fouled. He had been having issues with the carburetors, but I really believe the spark plugs were fouled. The car didn't want to start, and we sent the guys to go buy tools, buy spark plugs, buy whatever we needed, buy some race fuel, buy some octane booster, and we were about an hour before we left changing spark plugs on Ken's downdraft. We didn't know if that was going to fix the problem. I was pretty confident. The guys run to, I think it was AutoZone in Half Moon Bay, and run back, and I've got one guy working on one side. I think it was Gio working on one side, Chris working on the other side, and miraculously, once all the spark plugs were in, the car fires right up. So at that moment, I felt like, okay, this is going to be an amazing day. This sets the tone of the day, and at the same time, everybody else was trying to finish a few last-minute details on the Monaco Countach. Our red Countach, that was the engine out, that we had to change the oil line. Boom, the guys changed the oil line. So we have everything ready to go, and we are about to pull out. Prior to pulling out, we host a driver's meeting, and this is when I would say, for me, all the emotions started to come together. And while this was a celebration of arguably the most iconic supercar of our time, and on a car that's important for my DNA and the company's DNA, what I realized standing in front of all the guys, and I realized with all the cars lined up, was that the Countach represented much more than an automobile. For many of the guys, this was the poster that was on their wall as a kid. And when you look at a group of guys that, you know, to buy a Countach, they've been successful, and you know, whatever they've done in their lives, these were guys that the Countach represented something more than a car. It represented the human spirit. It was aspirational, it was bold, it was designed and created by visionaries who shocked the world in a period of time. And I think that the Countach had touched each one of these guys' lives in so many different ways, and they were so passionate that they came from around the world, they came from around the country, and it sort of embodied everything about the American dream, it embodied everything about our goals and our visions, and it hit me at that moment that this was the most incredible group of guys. I could not thank them enough for supporting me, for supporting our company, for supporting the rally, for supporting the vision, and we've got Valentino on this side, and we've got this group of guys, and I was ready to cry. I mean, I had goosebumps. I can't even begin to tell you. And talking to each and every one of guy, I realized that this was just sincere people, passionate guys, and I think that's what's so important about the Countach. And I think that after watching part 2 and 3, you guys will see that's what's so beautiful about this story and this rally was the effect it had on other people and the effect it had on a generation of young people that really this car changed their lives. And that's, to me, what this rally was about. And we now have a group chat with all the Countach owners, and essentially you could call it's like a love fest of people giving people positive reinforcement and just talking and enjoying about life in the cars. So now we're basically, all the guys are starting to pull out, engines are running, and it is the most incredible sound, the most incredible feeling. One by one, we're trying to go sort of by Valentino's leading the rally in a black 25th anniversary. I think Tyler Hoover was next in his 25th anniversary, and then followed by sort of a progression of years. So 78, 79, 80, 81, through the years of Countach's, and you've got just some of the most incredible cars. You have LP400Ss, we had 4 LP400Ss, followed by then 5000S, followed by a few downdraft cars, I think 3 or 4 downdraft cars, European spec cars, then the fuel-injected cars, and then followed by more anniversary cars. And these cars are all just pulling out. And you've got the Diablo SVR, you've got Diablo Roadster, stunning Diablo Roadster from Miami that we had sold to a great client, Juan. You've got the Diablo GT, my dear friend Paulo, who came from across this country and shipped his Diablo GT. And you have all these incredible cars, and the LM002 Rally Dakar car, which is a crazy story because the car was probably not ready to be driven in a major rally. We had been going through the car for quite some time, and basically the owners and the passionate group that are representing the car, Mr. John Culliford, is one of the craziest individuals I've ever met, but one of the most passionate. This is a race car LM that has no AC, no lights. This was basically a car that was made to go across the desert. There are no creature comforts, there's no radio, there's no cell phone charger. This is a full-blown Dakar race car. So you have this incredible procession, and the cars are pulling out, and we make this turn and we go around and we're lining up to make the final run down to Monterey. And it was a surreal, magical experience to hear all the cars running, all the doors are up on all the cars, and it was just this incredible moment. Everybody's jumping out of the cars, they're taking videos, they're taking photos, we all have goosebumps. Guys are freaking out, they've never seen anything like it, and it was magical. It was completely insane. So we all start to pull out, and we're all driving together, and we've got our Urus support vehicles, we have camera vehicles, we have a 6-car hauler, 2 6-car haulers following us in case any cars break. In case any cars break, we've got our techs jumping on them right away. We've got support vehicles for the clients. I mean, we thought of every detail, but still it was very stressful because you're worried about the cars, and we're off. Now imagine 30 minutes into driving, there's no issues. All the cars are running perfect. I think at this point we had like 26, 27 cars with us. We were meeting a few more cars in Monterey, and it sounded insane. All you hear going down the PCH into Monterey is, popping of the cars. You hear revving, you hear accelerating, and it was probably one of the most incredible moments of any car experience that I've ever been on. And now, talking to all the Countach owners, they felt the same. And slowly but surely, we had 2 issues with 2 cars, 3 issues with 3 cars. The Diablo GT, unfortunately, one of the brake calipers seized up. So we quickly loaded that car in a truck, and miraculously, Steve at Driven Exotics, one of probably the best Lamborghini techs in the US, was able to fix that car, get it ready for the next morning. One of the white Countachs out of Mexico had an issue with its original Magneti Marelli ignition box. Once it cooled down, boom, the car was running again. So that was back on the road. And then one of the other cars Someone thought there was an oil leak or something like that. Ended up the car was fine, but that car was basically back on the road the next day. So we're basically driving into Monterey, and on the way to Monterey, we stopped at the Santa Cruz Wharf. Miraculously, the LMO2 actually blew a coolant line, so there was a bunch of steam. People thought it was on fire, but again, Mr. John Culliford, I believe one of our team members helped him fix it, and he was fine in the end of it. But we had the opportunity to shut down part of the wharf and the pier and line up all the cars together. And we wanted to create an environment, you know, we had done these formal dinners and we were gonna have these lavish parties, but we wanted to create an environment that was really fun. So we basically lined up all the cars on the pier, basically gathered everyone. We had a really fun time, sort of an informal, fried seafood and all these things to sort of really experience that portion of Santa Cruz, that portion of California, and give people a taste of the Santa Cruz Wharf. So that was, again, completely surreal to see all the cars lined up on the waterfront, and we basically were our last leg into Monterey. Now, the last leg into Monterey was probably the most difficult part. We started getting into traffic, we started getting into cars potentially overheating, and miraculously, we only had issues with 2 other cars. We ended up getting both cars fixed on the side of the road, and we made it down into Monterey. And I will say that the smiles, the high fives, the hugs was just insane for everyone to do a day of driving in Countachs, for everyone to experience this. Everyone, even just the first day, walked away with saying it was one of the most amazing experiences of their lives. All of my stresses, all of my worries over how many weeks and days were gone. And essentially, we were excited for the next day, which was parade laps and our big day at Laguna Seca. So that's basically part 2. We've got much more coming. I want to say a personal thanks again to all of the Countach owners, the most incredible group of guys, passionate guys. Completely love you all. You're part of our family forever. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. We have a ton more Countach Rally content coming. We said part 3 we would end this, but it might roll over into part 4. We have a ton of footage, great stuff coming. Don't forget, Countach Rally merch will be coming. And thank you guys again for watching. I love all of you guys. And thank you to Luxury Rally Club, Curated team, and all of the incredible sponsors. We will feature them in part 3.